Welcome to OG55 Live. We have a fantastic panel today. We are breaking down that Destination D23 event. We're talking about the announcements. We're going to probably talk a lot about Daddy Josh and all that. We're also going to dive into the Disneyland Forward Economic Impact Report. Okay, this is going to be very, very interesting. There's a lot here to chew on. We're going to break it all down on OG55 Live. Welcome aboard, everybody, to OG55 Live. I want to welcome everybody in the chat right now. Theme Park Casual, Love Low, Alessio Pasquale. Sounds like a fellow Italiano, George. Alessio Pasquale. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us today. And we have a fantastic panel. We're talking Disneyland Forward and we're talking Destination D23. So, first time on the show. First time on the show, but longtime friend of the channel, Mr. Marty Snyder is here with us today. Marty, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure having you, sir. If you could let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Well, I guess we're doing X now, right? And
yeah, right. Sure.
Just Marty084.
There it is, right there on X, Marty084. Check him out. Really passionate Disney fan. Make sure you follow him on Twitter. And again, Marty, thank you so much, brother, for coming on, talking shop with us.
Absolute honor. Thank you.
And right over here, we got Mr. Candid Camper. Welcome back to the show, brother. If you could let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me again. And you can find me on X also at the Candid Camper, and then also at my new home on YouTube. It's called the Bad Thoughts Podcast. Thank you.
Cool. Check it out. Bad Thoughts Podcast on YouTube. Subscribe. OG Crew is going to be making an appearance on that one day soon. So definitely subscribe and show some love to Mr. Camper. And right over here, we have Top Gun George.
Talk to me, Goose.
There we go. Right, Goose. George, welcome back to the channel, sir. If you could let everybody at home know where they could find you on social media, sir.
Absolutely. You could find me on X at Disney George. You could check out the podcast I'm part of called A Walk with Walt. And of course, you'll find me here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info. And I guess maybe I might have to change my title. Instead of Citrus George, maybe have to hit like a Maverick, or as you guys said, Goose or something. I'll have
I think you might, dude.
I'm switching studios.
There we go. Yeah, no, you look fantastic. You look absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
So I want to thank Alessio already with the super chat, brother. Thank you so much, Alessio. We're going to get to that in just a moment. It is related to our Destination D23 conversation that we're going to jumpstart right now. All right. So Destination D23 was, I think it was like last week. And this is very, very interesting. Now, as Disneylanders, we didn't get really anything. We're over here starving, But Walt Disney World, they got some stuff. They got some stuff. And a lot of the bigger things that were kind of announced were kind of focused on like Animal Kingdom. So it was announced that Animal Kingdom might, this isn't even confirmed, but Daddy Josh said Animal Kingdom might replace their Dinoland area with a South American area. And that would include an Encanto attraction as well as the Indiana Jones, we assume the Indiana Jones Adventure ride from Disneyland, okay? Which would replace the dinosaur ride, which has the same Jeeps, the same layout, the whole 9 yards. Marty, I'm gonna start with you. Like, what are your thoughts on this retheme, this new direction for this area of the park? You like it, love it, hate it? Where you kind of stand with this, brother?
Well, it's been 15 years or so since I've been to Walt Disney World or so. I loved that park, but I'm not exactly sure. I mean, I know a lot of people are very they have opinions on whether Indy fits, like do snakes work, things like that, right? So I don't know, man. I hope that it's not a duplicate ride from the one that we have in Anaheim. If they if they're going that way, I hope it's something it's got some kind of freshness to it. I mean, the one we have out here is busted all the time, so I don't know why you would like completely like carbon copy it. We have a beautiful queue in Indiana Jones
Oh yeah.
that they don't even use anymore because of Lightning Lane. The merge point is outside of the temple of when you go in. So all the interactive stuff, the pulling of the levers, the decoding cards, all that stuff, you don't even get to do anymore. They're just like, okay, go run to the ride. So I hope they they fix some of that stuff if they're going to do a carbon copy of the one we have out here.
It's you bring up some great points, Marty, and it's interesting because it's weird, right? Because Animal Kingdom, I kind of feel like the direction of this indie attraction is going to be kind of the same direction they kind of took with the Expedition Everest, which is like it's not really themed to animals. Oh, there we go. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. I don't know if I cut out or not. My screen went blank for a second. Where it's not really themed. There we go. Where it's not really themed to animals, it's more themed to like the area that it's in, right? So it's not like Expedition Everest is necessarily animal themed. It's more themed to Asia, right? So I think this Indiana Jones ride will be more themed to the South America element that it's in, not necessarily anything to animals. So I mean, I guess that's okay. I don't know, but I think if you do that too much in this park, you can run into problems. But Candid, what do you think about this? This Indiana Jones kind of approach to this area of Animal Kingdom.
I'm kind of on the opposite side of it. I think it's a great idea. I think the park really needs something like this, and I do think that Indy's going to bring in more people than what they thought that was going to go there. We'll probably get into that in a little bit. I just think it's a great idea. I hope they keep that swimming pool that's going to be on top of that restaurant back there. I think that's great. It looks weird. I don't know why they made it all glossy like that. But I think that whole area really needs some love. I'm okay with them putting anything back there because it's a ghost town.
Yeah, and it's not exactly a looker either. That area is pretty, George, your thoughts on this? You're our local Walt Disney World guy. What do you feel about this Indiana Jones, this Encanto kind of thing moving into Animal Kingdom? Maybe, according to us, maybe.
Of course, yeah, maybe they're considering.
Right.
So OG, while you're over there starving, it's still over here. We're thinking that we're going to get like a Wagyu beef steak. We end up getting a McDouble. So it's
McDouble.
But my thoughts on Indy was, see, here's my thing. I still don't understand necessarily how Indy is going to fit in Animal Kingdom, but OG, you and I were talking about it, and you had mentioned if they were to just use the attraction as like an aesthetic point, rather it be primarily about animals, it would just be about the set location of where Indy is at, sort of like how they did with Expedition Everest, even though it's based off of a mythological creature, but it's more so based on about the Himalayan mountains in Asia. So that's the route that they could take. But my biggest issue with Indy is that they're considering possibly putting in a 30-year-old attraction that, to me, is more beloved at Disneyland. Indiana Jones is my favorite ride at Disneyland Park, and I love just having that ride there, despite of how many times it breaks down. I still love it at Disneyland. If they were to do, I would prefer, if they were going to do Indiana Jones at Animal Kingdom, I would prefer a whole completely different layout, different system, different ride. Are they going to do that? I don't know. Or they may go the cheap route and just kind of just reskin the attraction. However, we were talking before the show, and Candid made a good point that actually he mentioned about Indy possibly going back into the past, which kind of fits in with the latest Indiana Jones movie,
Right.
where he ends up going into the past, where they can still maybe keep the dinosaur quality to it. So
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. But then, how does that work with the South America thing, though? Too, though. See, it's
that's
kind of like
exactly. See, it has nothing to do with it. But unless because it's just the South America of where Indy goes back in time in the set place of South America, but he goes back
Okay.
in time with the dinosaurs. I think that would be great, where they could still keep dinosaurs integrated in the park. Is that the route they're going to go? Probably not. But it's, and again, I said it before and I'll say it again. As far as with Encanto, the only way that this would work is if, and forgive me, folks, I've only seen Encanto once. I don't know the names of the characters or anything, but the little boy who gets his powers in the house, in his room, becomes like an indoor-outdoor jungle area where he can talk to the animals and what have you. That, I feel, is the only route that they could really go as far as for Encanto, because they have a photo pass opportunity out in the front of the park where it showcases him with the animals. So it's kind of like they're throwing little hints of like which direction they were going. But I still think it would have been best if they did a Paradise Falls for like a South American theme for Disney Pixar's Up. They already have the characters integrated in the parks. Kevin is a walk-around character. They have a meet and greet with Doug and Russell. The Wilderness Explorers kind of touches upon the conservation of the park or what have you. So, and instead of having the Encanto house, you would have Carl's house, you know?
Yeah. No, I think that's brilliant because you have that conservation angle with like the Boy Scout thing, right? With the kid. I think it's absolutely brilliant, George. Absolutely brilliant. Now we have Justin Ray Diaz. Hi there, Orange Grove 55 from the Enchanted Explorers channel. Justin, thank you so much, brother, for coming on. Now we had the Enchanted Explorers on the channel like a few days ago, or maybe a week ago now. We love the Enchanted Explorers, so all the love, Justin, all the love. Thank you for joining us today. And by the way, George, our dear friend Alia is saying the name of the little boy is Antonio from Encanto.
Thank you, Alia.
Can I throw something at you real quick, George?
Yeah, yes.
So the archaeologist, that's what I mean. At the end of the day, that's what he is. Even though he goes on these crazy adventures, you have the boneyard still there. How are you going to tie that into it? You already have all the bones already in that building, and the dinosaur aspect. So what was Dino or the Dino ride? What was that to Animal Kingdom already? So how is Indy going to be that much different bringing that into play versus dinosaurs being there either? There's no conservation either. I mean, in a sense, there really wasn't.
That's true, because there was no humans back then. That'd be their blue plate special. So
that's a
but
great
yeah, that
point.
does make it. That is actually a very good point.
That's a great point, Ken. I never really considered that. You're kind of blowing my mind right now a little bit with this, because it's like, you're right. It's the archaeologist angle is there right now with dinosaur, and now you're just taking it in a different direction with Indy. That's fascinating, dude. That's actually pretty fascinating. It almost makes me want them to keep the dinosaur theme for the whole land and do that with Indy. I think that would actually work better than the South America thing that they're kind of going with. You know, now that you're kind of like explaining your kind of concept, I dig that a lot. I dig that a lot.
No pun intended.
Right. Yeah, a little archaeologist joke right there. I dig it a lot. Liz L here says, I really don't see Encanto and Indy fitting. I wish they would take the time to update Dino Land and refresh it, as dinosaurs are timeless. Yeah, but yeah, Liz, I mean, I see what you're saying. You know, they are timeless, but you know what? I mean, I think Candid makes a good case for the Dino and how Indy would fit into that for sure. And our dear friend Alia Aloha's here says, be funny if this is their plan to bring back Joe Rody. Quote, this drives me nuts. Joe gives you a migraine. You feel love and possessive of AK. Well, welcome back. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Rhodey is really, really, this park is near and dear to his heart. And maybe Alia is right. Maybe this is a way to kind of like, almost like, hey, look, what you want us to do this to your park, Rhodey? Well, you better come back and you know, sit at the table with us, because otherwise you're getting Indy and all kinds of stuff.
We need him for Disney Forward, OG, because we got Pandora coming in. So, you know.
Yes, we do. Absolutely. Oh man, Marty, like that's the thing. Like, what Joe Rohde could do for Disneyland Forward, I think would be absolutely incredible. And we're going to talk about Disneyland Forward in a little bit, actually, because there's a lot there to kind of dig into. Now with Destination D23, there were a lot of like little announcements here, right? One of the other announcements while we're talking about Animal Kingdom is this Zootopia like 3D show that's going to replace Tough to Be a Bug. George, you seem really hyped about this. I can see it all over your face, man. Like you are just.
I'm gonna be. I'm going there opening day, man. I gotta get into that tree to see all those animals. Like I'm sorry, I don't get it. It feels like I get it. It's Tough to Be a Bug open with Animal Kingdom,
right?
But it fits so well of going into the tree underneath the roots, and
right.
It just fit. That's where you would find insects. That's where you would find bugs. You know, now we're going into the tree underneath the roots, and we're going to see a fox, a rabbit, a bull, a possum. It's like, I don't. If you want to have like a 3D or a 4D Zootopia type of attraction, which I think is great in a sense, because it kind of puts Zootopia in the park without it being showcased as like an eyesore, because it has like this metropolitan type of feel with animals, but right. I would not have put it in the Tree of Life.
Well, you bring up a good point, George, because it's like I don't mind so much the fox, the rabbit, all that, because those animals are kind of like they burrow under things. I can kind of see it. The problem though is this IP is not that. It's more like you said, it's more cityscape, it's more metropolis. So you go into a tree. Now, I'm assuming you're going to go through the streets of Zootopia and all that in this big adventure. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You enter into the tree and then you get into this big city adventure. Maybe they'll alter the adventure so it fits the tree more. I don't know. And here's the other thing, too, that Daddy Josh really dropped the ball on.
Just one?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Just one. Yeah, leading up to this event, he gave us the Zootopia thing over in Shanghai, which is absolutely incredible. I mean, detailed, fully immersive land, right? Gorgeous. And the Frozen thing, which is also beautiful and gorgeous over in Hong Kong Disneyland. So he leads with that days before the Destination D23 event. So it's like, I don't understand this guy. You know how Disney fans are. When you drop that Zootopia Shanghai stuff, they're going to go, oh, man, at Destination D, what are they going to announce for Animal Kingdom? Is it going to be this Zootopia land, this great land that you showed us more detail of over in Shanghai? He has to know that that's the mindset of fans. So he leads with that. Then he gets to the event and goes, guess what, everybody? Zootopia is coming to Animal Kingdom, and it's going to be a 3D show in the tree. And it's like, wah. It's like, why would you do that? It's like a self-inflicted wound. Like, why you don't lead with the bigger thing and like the finale is the weaker thing. And Daddy Josh doesn't, I'm telling you, Daddy Josh has no idea what he's doing in this department. This is the second expo he completely shit the bed with. And I don't know. I think he's really not ready for prime time. And hopefully Iger is not too impressed by how he's doing, but we'll see. Marty, what are your thoughts on the Zootopia tree and all that good stuff?
So in general, and not to get political, but I personally think that Disney is a little bit scared to go all in the States on Zootopia because of police culture that we currently have. And I think something like a show can be removed if it goes bad. I enjoy Nick and Judy at DCA, but I've heard bad things being yelled at them as well. So I just wonder where the sequel is going as far as the storytelling of it. I don't think it really fits in the tree to all of George's points. So that's a little odd. But I almost wonder if this is sticking your toe in the pool to see, what the temperature is before going full on with a land. Because we've talked about. Before Tiana, we were talking about Zootopia being the re-theme of Splash Mountain. There was a lot of that. there's still talk of the Montropolis that we were supposed to get in DCA in Hollywood, possibly being Zootopia, and I think they're really testing the waters with this show, and they're going to see what the new movie does, and if the new movie does gangbusters, they're going for it. And my kid loves Zootopia. I mean, he loves Nick Wilde, he loves Judy Hopps. So if the kids show up.
Well, and Marty, you bring up a fantastic point with the culture kind of war thing and all this stuff going on. I've seen it on Twitter. I saw it on Twitter when that, even with that Shanghai, when they showed all the Shanghai stuff, a lot of people on Twitter or X or whatever, they were saying like, "Oh man, this is a terrible attraction. It's problematic and this, that, and the other." So I think you're right. Maybe they feel like, okay, so maybe we can't go all in on the Zootopia thing because there might be some kind of pushback. Let's go ahead and throw it in the tree. Let's see how it does. If it causes a stir, if it causes a lot of problems for us on social media, hey, it's just a 3D show. We can always get rid of it. But they don't want to double and triple down with this mega land. It's a fascinating point, dude. And I think you might be onto something. I mean, I think that might be a big element of what is going on here. What do you think, Candy Camper? You think Zootopia moving into the tree is a good thing, bad thing, not so good thing? Is it cop culture that's kind of keeping them from kind of going, full bore? Where you stand with this, brother?
Yeah, I think it's a waste of resources. First off, there's no reason to put it there. No one's asking for that at all. Don't get me wrong. Every time I go to Disney World, it's not my first place to run is to the treehouse, but the kids do enjoy it, and it is the perfect setting for that. I can't see that being anywhere else. What I would do if it was a perfect world and leaving the cop culture and everything out of it, but I do think that is a big, you brought that to my attention just now. That makes a big chunk of sense, actually. But perfect world, all that was squashed. Why not put it in the Muppets courtyard? That would be your land.
More Muppets every day. Every day. I'm all for that.
Well, and here's the other thing too. This is the thing. And this is the thing with the destination. This is the thing with the D23 event is they trot the Muppets out. They do this whole little thing, and there's no Muppet announcement. This is what I'm talking about.
There
with
was no
Daddy
relevance
Josh.
to it. It was like, why would they have to do with anything? Because I thought we were going to get something like, oh, the Muppets are coming back in a big way. And, are we going to get something? Are they expanding the Muppets at Hollywood Studios or what have you? Because I would have loved to have seen the great Muppet movie ride that was supposed to happen, especially since they took up my great movie ride.
And Showcase of Wishes is in the chat, and I know he agrees with you on the great movie ride for sure. But that's the thing though, it's these are these self-inflicted wounds from Tomorrow, where it's he kind of brings it on himself, right? With the thing I talked about earlier with the Zootopia, and then with the Muppet thing, you bring the Muppets out, and all these super fans are like, "Oh my God, what's he going to announce for the Muppets? There's got to be something." And then even with Hercules, the beginning of the show was all Hercules, and it got everyone thinking what's going on with that, and then there was no Hercules announcement. So really, really, really weird decisions here that I just don't understand.
And actually Marty brought it up to my attention when he mentioned about Zootopia coming to DCA, that if the show does well in Animal Kingdom, who's to bet to say that they would put the Zootopia show in the place of Mickey's PhilharMagic?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I mean,
Go
ahead. Go ahead, Candace.
I don't think so, because I would think they're going to use all that land. I'm just calling it now. That's all Avengers. That whole side, they're going all Avengers. Why give something that's going to make money versus something that's going to make the whole money? You don't take land away from the whole money. Easy.
I just go back to the Christmas party. Was it last year, I believe? The only thing that was selling it was the Muppets coming down a bus down Main Street.
Yeah.
It was the one thing that everyone's Disneyland gives away Christmas for free. Well, for a ticket price. So everybody sees the lights and all that stuff. The only thing anybody paid for was to watch the Muppets go down in a bus and wave at you. And people paid a whole ticket like after dark event price for that for 4 hours to watch them do it twice.
I could actually double down on that, because when they would have the Muppet Show in Liberty Square at Magic Kingdom, it was where they had them coming out of like the buildings, out of the windows and everything.
Right.
They did a little show. I mean, people actually stopped and watched the show. It only lasted, it was like a 10-15 minute little, I don't even know if it went even that long. But I mean, personally, people still love the Muppets, and I feel like that they're not given a full chance.
Are they forgotten though? Is that the thing? Is it one of those where you're like, oh yeah, oh the Muppets, I love the Muppets, like because you see them all of a sudden. I don't go in the park thinking the Muppets are going to be there, but when I do see the Muppets, like Marty saying, it's like, dude, I do love the Muppets.
Right.
And I want to watch the show.
And I will say, for having a 5-year-old, my son doesn't really relate necessarily to the Kermit the Frog live action stuff, like, you know, the real Muppets that we all know.
Yeah.
But man, he loved the hell out of Muppet Babies for the 3 years that Disney Junior had it. Like, we grew up on a different Muppet Babies.
Right,
They had a new one like 3 years, for the last 3 years. They ended it. There were some issues with copyright and stuff from the person who created the Muppet Babies. Disney wasn't wanting to pay him any kind of money based on the fact that he created it, but he created it for Jim Henson. And Disney goes, well, Jim Henson ain't here, so we don't owe you that money. so there was a lawsuit brought up, and after 3 years, they canceled the new one. But my son loved it, and he would have loved to watch him go up and down. He'd love to, I am a big fan of Muppets, man. If you can bring the more Muppets, make Electric Mayhem, the Rock and Roller Coaster. I love Aerosmith,
Awesome.
but if you're gonna replace it, make it Electric Mayhem. I need Dr. Seuss in there.
I'm okay with that. I love that movie was so good. They nailed it. Yeah, I even like the Haunted Mansion one. I thought it was hilarious. I think they're going the right route. I just think they need to put more around and just push it. That's their problem. They don't push it enough.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, Candace. The Haunted Mansion one, it was better than the theatrical release that they put out.
And the funny thing about the Muppets that Disney is sort of like, they kind of like, I don't want to say totally given up on the Muppets, but they sort of like, they're not like a priority for sure. But it's funny to me that they're not, because Disney's all about synergy, and the Muppets, you can easily incorporate them into any kind of IP. You can do a Muppet Marvel movie. You can do a Muppet Star Wars movie. There's so much potential with these characters, and they just kind of sleep on them. I'm telling you, there's a lot there you can do with them. And I don't know. It's
money
crazy.
on the table. Money on the table.
It's money on the table. And like you said, Marty, the one selling point for that after hours Christmas thing at Disneyland was the Muppets going down Main Street. That's what everyone wanted to see. That was it.
It looked great. It was awesome.
It was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic. So Liz L here says, yeah, super weird for them to sing Hercules songs constantly at Destination D23 and then have zero Hercules announcements. Same with Muppets being part of every announcement and no announcement. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, either it's Josh or someone in his inner circle advising him, or whoever's kind of managing these shows, these expos, like the D23 Expo and this Destination D thing. You gotta start thinking like a fan. You can't trot things out and not have anything connected to it, and you're just gonna excite people and let them down, And I think they're really shooting themselves in the foot more than they have to. It's like really boneheaded decisions. And it's pretty crazy. Now, another thing that was announced at this Destination D23 event was this Star Tours. As George said, the ride with 900 lives. Okay, this thing is never going away. This thing is like the cockroach after the nuclear war. It's the only thing that survives. Okay, this thing is never going away. George, what are your thoughts on Ahsoka, which is a great show, by the way? Mm-hmm. Okay, episode 5 was an absolute banger. And we will be doing a show on that on Sunday. Breaking that whole episode down, but it's a great show. It is. It's really good. But they're bringing Ahsoka to Star Tours. George, your thoughts on this? Love it, hate it?
I mean, it's not really a surprise because any kind of popular Star Wars franchise gets integrated into Star Tours. It's pretty much a safe bet that Star Tours is going to be staying probably beyond our lifetime. And it's an easy incorporation. You know, they could just kind of just slip it right into the attraction itself, and it's like you're good to go. My main gripe is they spent billions of dollars on these massive Star Wars lands. And yes, okay, they got Ahsoka as a meet and greet type of thing,
Yeah.
but I mean, I would have preferred to like put more effort into doing something in the Galaxy Edge rather than just keep on just taking the easy route and saying, "Oh, just throw it in Star Tours." Just put it in Star Tours. It's like it's Galaxy's Edge has the potential, and I've said this many times on the show. It's aesthetically pleasing, but it needs some meat and potatoes in that pot.
Yeah.
It's like we just have a boiling pot of hot water that's just it's simmering down to absolutely nothing. We need something to put in that pot.
Look, hey Disney, if you're watching this, okay, by any chance, if anyone from Disney is watching this, Daddy Josh, if you're watching this by any chance, okay, if you build a Mando and Grogu e-ticket in Galaxy's Edge, it's gonna absolutely be such a big moneymaker for you. You have no idea. Okay, that would just destroy. I mean, absolutely destroy. With little Grogu and everything. I mean, come on. People would be lining up. It would snake through the entire park. You do it right. There's a lot of potential here with Star Wars. I get it. A lot of people are very critical right now of Star Wars, and rightfully so. I mean, you know, they are kind of fumbling quite a bit with a lot of stuff. But that is something that it would be money in the bet. You couldn't lose with that, you know? And that's the kind of stuff I think, George, you're talking about, where like, yes, you know, the Ahsoka meet and greet is cool, Chopper, cool, Hera, and all that stuff is awesome. It's dope. But it's like, let's get some more in there, though. Let's get a little more, you know. It's so underutilized, this land. It's crazy. But Marty, what do you think? I mean, the whole, Ahsoka thing going into Star Tours.
I think it's great. The more characters they add, the better. Because they have to have something going around that land because there's nothing else going on. All the shops are behind a door, like that. There's no windows. There's nothing. There's no window shopping. There's none of that stuff. There's nothing you can see. We went the other day, and it's almost like separating the land and trying to not make it part of Disneyland is biting them in the butt at this point, because it's almost a forgotten part of the park. Like, you go through Big Thunder and you just go straight to Fantasyland or something, because you kind of forget as a local, like, oh yeah, there's that whole Star Wars area. We went there the other day, and we waited for 5 minutes for Smuggler's Run. We waited for 20 minutes for Oga's Cantina. The bar is 4 times longer than the ride with the big spaceship, the whole centerpiece of the land. So it's just wild. Like, and you know, it's funny because I will sit there and I'll look at Star Tours wait time on the app. It's longer than Smuggler's Run. Smuggler's Run is supposed to be Star Tours 2.0.
Right.
And Star Tours still has a longer line. I mean, the problem with Star Tours, why they will never get rid of it is, I spoke with OG about this before. I've talked to people. The People Mover track, they say it's like a cancer in that they cannot remove, you know, parts of it because it's going into organs that are affected structurally by the track being in there. For instance, the Star Tours building, if you take apart the track, it structurally degrades the Star Tours building. So if they want to get rid of the track, they got to remove buildings because the buildings are no longer up to code.
Yeah, well, and they should. I mean, I wish Disney, whenever they're ready to do a new Tomorrowland, and
do it good and do it right.
Do it right.
Down. We'll wait.
Exactly. We'll wait. Well, it's all good. I'll deal with the inconvenience. I mean, it's easy for me to say I'm a local. I can come back anytime. I know for the tourists, it's like, oh man, it's like, but like, look, do it right, right? I mean, that's kind of the thing. It's like, how many times are they going to repaint and redress and put lipstick on this same old pig?
Yeah.
Let's get a new Tomorrowland, our real new Tomorrowland. Bulldoze these buildings, build a whole new Tomorrowland, new layout, the whole thing, and get it done. I agree with you, Marty. I mean, I'm so sick of them just redressing the same old stuff.
Even people coming in, they want to ride Space Mountain. That's why they're going there. You can do it in 2 phases. You can cut it off at the Star Trader shop and keep Space Mountain open on the back side, on the Matterhorn side. And then once you do that, you close it off, and then you close it off from the other side. You still allow people to get to Space Mountain. Space Mountain's the only untouchable thing.
So being that you say that, Marty, that how the People Mover track is intertwined with some of these buildings, including Star Tours, but now with them adding Ahsoka to Star Tours, now does that, of what you're saying now, does that seem like they're going to hold off on any kind of Tomorrowland layover because they would then have to?
Oh yeah, I don't see them doing. They're focused on Disney Forward. I don't see anything. If Disney Forward did not exist, then I totally think that their focus would finally, hopefully, be on Tomorrowland. I don't see them doing anything more with that area until they're done with their future projects. And almost rightfully so. So whatever you do with Disney Forward, it has to be, all your money has to go to that. You have to spend this is once in a lifetime. You've never had the city on your side. Now you got the city on your side. You got the state. You have the governor who shut you down, sitting there saying, let's give these people money. Let's get them building stuff. I as much as I'd like to see something happen with Tomorrowland at this point, I think the priority has shifted.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Tomorrowland with Space Mountain and with how popular Star Tours is, there's not a whole lot of incentive right now for Disney to go in there and start ripping things out. So it's getting it's popular. People are in that land. Yeah, I agree with you. It's years away. It's years and years away. Now a couple other announcements that were at this thing were.
Can I stop you real quick, Candy?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to go back on what Marty was saying. Is that he's absolutely right, because business-wise, it doesn't hurt anybody. Even if you go there for the first time, you're still getting Star Wars. You're still getting Space Mountain. Yep. Your kids still get to ride on those death traps.
Buzz Lightyear still has a long line.
So what would be the reason to take that out? And on top of that, I remember talking about this last time on there. Those cars only have 10 years with the Honda sponsorship, so they won't touch that at least until 10 years are up.
Wow. Yeah, see, there's just not a whole lot of incentive right now to dive into that whole thing. And
Dave sits back and takes a big sigh of relief.
Yeah, for those of you who know, Dave from Fresh Bake.
As locals, we hate it. But the normies, they love Tomorrowland still.
Yeah.
There's so many people I've heard walk through that land, and they're just like, ooh, I wonder where the line for this ride is. And they're talking about the rocket rides, the People Mover track. They don't even understand that it's not even working, or not. They don't care. I mean, they love it.
They love it. They absolutely love it. Yeah, I know. And there is a disconnect, and I've said this so many times in so many videos, between there's a gap between the normies and the diehard super fans. And like when we were on that cruise, George, right? Like all I heard on Twitter was like how terrible Marvel is, and like, we don't want that in the parks and this, that, and the other.
Not in the restaurant.
Right, we go into this Marvel restaurant, and the normies are like climbing over each other to take a picture with Spider-Man. I'm like, whoa, what is going on? You would have thought, like I said before, you would have thought Elvis came back from the dead. It was out of control. So yeah, you're right, Marty. The normies are on a whole different playing field than we are, and we a lot of times, we have to kind of, yeah, you're right, some self-awareness and understand that. And they love Tomorrowland still, and we're stuck with it. We're absolutely stuck with it. So we'll see. But now another announcement at this event was the Country Bears. I guess they're reimagining the Country Bears to sort of sing Disney songs. Now, George, what are your thoughts on that, brother? Like, you down with this? Are you not feeling it? Or
Well-
Liver Lips also got a new name. His name is Romeo.
That name is wild.
Yeah.
They're all Hercules songs, by the way. Just throwing it out there. That's why they're singing Hercules the whole time. It's all Hercules.
Okay, so I go back and forth with this one.
Okay.
For so that I actually was researching some things on the Country Bears, and this concept that they are doing now was actually proposed back in 2004.
Okay.
And it never went anywhere. And it just kept on delaying and delaying till soon enough it was supposed to change over. Well, March 2020 came, the whole world went nuts, and a set of Imagineers, one in particular who was ahead of this project, was let go of the mass layoffs of the Disney cast members and Imagineers. And so they ended up resurfacing this coming forth after the fact. When the Country Bears was supposed to leave, they were supposed to put in that god-awful Woody's Roundup little puppet show thing that was supposed to go in there. And Tom Corliss to his...
that's what he was reporting. And then Disney actually... they actually clapped back at him quite infamously, saying it wasn't true. So we don't really know if that was true or not. I mean, it was
true because the Imagineer confirmed with him that it's
no
longer an Imagineer. Yes.
Oh, okay. And maybe that's why Disney was so defensive, is because they knew it was true. That makes sense.
So then it resurfaced to this newer Country Bear. So this isn't something that was just popped out of the ground out of osmosis. This is something that was almost 20 years in the making that they were planning on doing with the Country Bears. As far as like with Liver Lips' name change, I mean, Wait,
hey, Marty, you're laughing. It's so funny. When I didn't know he had a name change, right?
The video the other day when George told you what it was and you thought he was making a joke, I did too. I had the same look on my face as you did. And when George's like, no, I'm serious. Like, this is like what it is. And I'm like, all right, you're running the joke a little too long. It's okay, you know?
I thought you were joking.
Nah, man, this is it. I'm like, dang. Ugh.
It's
Romeo.
It's Romeo McGraw. Romeo McGraw. That's his new name. I'm sorry, and I get why that they would want to change it over. I mean, but I mean, aside from that, I mean, I'm just so used to saying Liver Lips. I mean, I don't know if I could actually take it serious to look at that bear and say Romeo. Like, I don't. Yeah. I can't. But on a plus note, I am glad that they're keeping the Country Bears.
Right. No, me too.
That's like the greatest positive thing that's come out of this. As far as like them singing Disney songs, I'd have to wait and see how it's actually produced, because they are throwing like this kind of Nashville kind of country music twang to it. So I am curious to see how it goes. If it's done tastefully well, I think it can work. But with it also being a show, they could also change it out if it doesn't work out. And we're getting newer audio animatronics, because that way the bears would be easier to repair, or if they have to go down for a refurbishment or what have you. Because I mean, the audio animatronics that they use now are literally, I mean, they're decades old. And they need some TLC too. So I am glad that they are still considering keeping the Country Bears.
Yeah. What do you think, Candid? What are your thoughts on the Bears?
I thought they were going to go the Lester route. The Lester possum from the Goofy movie. I always thought that was such a cool idea, because it just made sense. It makes sense more in like Critter Country, honestly, instead of going with Winnie. But just kind of a weird thought I always had. I think it's a good idea because of the backlash that it has gotten over the years. Singing Disney music, you can't go wrong with that. You don't have to give anyone any extra money on the side to use their rights. You already know what you're going to do with it. If you pick maybe 5 songs and somehow blend them together and then keep that funny aspect behind it, I think they can do it.
Yeah.
I don't mind that Woody idea if they've done it right. I can actually see that Woody idea happening on our side inside the was it the Golden Horseshoe?
Well, that's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, you know, it's funny, Candid. You're kind of blowing my mind with your armchair imagineering, like with the whole like possum thing and like the thing you mentioned earlier with the archeology with Indie Man. You got some good ideas, dude.
I'm reaching so hard, and I was like, I don't want to go too far back, but I just didn't get to say it earlier. George and I were talking about like the Moana thing. Like,
yeah.
What happened with that? Like, we'll bring it up later. Hopefully, we can bring that up later. I just need to get that before I forget. Like, why didn't that happen? Because that makes so much more sense to me than everything else they're doing. But going back to what we're talking about, sorry, I get sidetracked. I think it's a great idea. I think Country Bears. I'm glad that it's staying, and I think they're going in the right way, the right direction with it.
Yeah, I'm glad it's staying. It's better than what happened here in Anaheim, you know. So I mean, hey, who am I to complain? Like, hey, I wish we still had the Country Bears and they were singing Disney songs. I'd be fine with that. It's better than poo.
Flush poo.
Yeah. So I think you're right. I think it is good news overall. Friend of the channel, Cliffix, is in the house, and he says, "Will Disney retheme the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train to match the modern themes of the new Snow White movie in production?" No, I don't think they will. And this is the thing too. And I'm kind of going into some controversial territory here. But this is the thing. I think that it's like, I think Disney is getting away from that stuff. And a lot of the stuff that you're seeing here that people say is woke and all this stuff, I think that it's residual stuff from years ago. So for example, like a movie like Snow White, that's been in production for years. Okay. So it's kind of like a relic of like 2 or 3 years ago, not necessarily like a barometer of today. Disney's not going to, I don't think Disney is in the same mindset today as they were 2-3 years ago. I think that they are moving away from this kind of like culture war stuff. Yeah, look, that doesn't mean that we're not going to have diversity. I mean, they will. Michael Eisner had diversity. He did Pocahontas, he did Mulan, that's all going to stay. But I think this kind of like this overtly kind of culture war angle that they were going in 2 years ago, I think that's over, and they're not going to double down on that. I think they know that it's a hot issue on social media. They don't want the bad press. They're just waiting for all these movies that were of that era to kind of go through the pipeline, and they're done with them. That's just my opinion, and a lot of people disagree. A lot of people think Disney didn't change a bit, and that's fine. I respect that. I just don't see it. I think they have changed. I think they do see it, and I think right now Disney's in survival mode. They're not trying to fuck around and like deal with all this crap. They need to make money and stay afloat, and they're not going to mess with it. But what do you guys think? Like, do you think that this is a possibility here with the Snow White thing? What do you think, Marty? Or is this going to be like a flop and this thing's going to be forgotten?
I mean, well, I'm first of all, I'm glad that they would keep the Country Bears and stuff, because when we lost it, it was pretty bad. I mean, it really sucked, and I mean, I guess we got Winnie the Pooh, but what do we even know what that's future is at this point? Because
that's fair.
What is Critter Country at this point? One ride. I mean, they've moved New Orleans all the way up to it, so it's kind of funny. Like I was telling somebody, I was like, it's kind of like just like in LA, we displaced the animals. We kept moving the city further out, and now we got mountain lions on the freeway. So yeah, I don't. I mean, I think it's funny. It's fun. I still think it's fun to show my kid. He has no clue what's going on when we go through DCA and we go through Grizzly River Run and stuff like that. And there's the Country Bears. He looks at him and he's like, those are the worst, scary-looking fucking bears I've ever seen. Like, he says, I'm like, hey, go get your picture thing. He's like, no, I'm good. that one looks drunk. Yeah. So, I mean, look, for the Florida people, if they like it and they get to keep on stuff, I know it sucks when you have to lose something, for something else. So, I mean, whatever they want to keep, I'm glad for it. I still think it's hilarious that they lost shit for Mickey and Minnie's, and we didn't lose anything, and we got it. So, like, I'm not the biggest fan of the railroad, Mickey and Minnie's Railroad. We didn't lose nothing for it.
Nothing.
I know. As I
know-
said, I'm still very bitter about that decision. And I get it. I know there are people out there that's like, the great movie ride was, it was old and everything, but you could have updated that with any film. They could have they bought Fox for $70 They could have added all that shit into there, and if they could have turned it into anything that they wanted to. And I'm not opposed to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, but we have the blessing of size.
Right.
I don't get it.
And my kid, like I said, it may not be my cup of tea. He loves that ride. We sit there and I'll take him to school. And we got a railroad crossing on the way, right? And if we get stuck at the railroad, we're sitting there waiting. All I hear is track switch. Like he's yelling in the back, like, so he's totally into it, man.
Okay, OG, do you have it?
Oh, I have it. Marty, when you do that, I got to do this.
Oh no! I must have hit that track switch!
Boom, I got to drop it on you. Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's funny. The space management at Disneyland Resort is so much better. I mean, they really, maybe because it's out of necessity because we don't have as much space, and maybe it's also because it's Walt's Park and the Imagineers have, like, I think a little bit of a bias there, but like they just do such a better job at like managing the space here. We don't lose a lot, Even Galaxy's Edge, we lost a petting zoo and a barbecue place and a lot of backstage area for a 14-acre immersive land, So yeah, we make out pretty good out here for sure. Let me see here. I'm gonna go ahead and we'll get to super chats. I promise you guys we will get to super chats. ClipX is saying I'm 100% certain that there are many Disney execs that would love to do that in regard to his Snow White retheme. There might be, yeah. I just don't think there's a financial incentive right now for that. I think that this movie is honestly kind of dead on arrival. Just to be honest.
And honestly, even if it was a commercial success, I really don't think that it would appeal into Fantasyland.
Well, and historically, like with all these live action films, did you, George? Did you? Be honest. Be honest, man. No.
Well, I am moving out of California here, folks.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And by the way, we will be having Slimer on the show next week on Wednesday. So Slimer, first time on the channel, he's coming on. No, but where was it? What was I getting with this? I don't remember. I'm sorry,
OG.
I don't remember where I was getting with this. Okay, so let's now. Do you guys have anything in regards to, before we move on to Disneyland Forward, anything you want to discuss with the Destination D23 event before we move on to the next thing?
Yeah, I want to bring up that Moana thing, if that's cool.
Yeah, by all means.
Why didn't we get that? Why didn't they put out there? I know George mentioned because they already have that Moana walk through water thing. It is. I still don't know what it is. I don't know. I just think Encanto versus Moana, what has more weight to it? And we need water rides there. That place, when I went in May, it's hot as hell, it's muggy, and guess what I got to ride?
Nothing.
Nope. I mean, I got to go on the rafts that went around and didn't get wet at all. I don't get that ride either. I can't remember the name at the moment.
Kelly River Rapids.
Yeah. Oh man, beautiful ride though. By the way, beautiful ride. Just don't know why they call it a water ride. But yeah, I think we needed more. They need more water rides out there, and I think Moana would have done really, really well. And I'm kind of shocked that they cut that one off.
Yeah. No, I think so too. I mean, I like Moana as a franchise, and I think that with the whole one with the water kind of energy that you get with that movie, I think you could do a lot with that. I don't know. We'll see. I don't really understand some of these decisions. It's weird because we see these decisions from the outside. We don't have a lot of context, right? It's like the Indiana Jones thing and the Encanto thing. Like, we don't really know the angle that they're going to go with that. It really does depend on which way they go with those. Because Candid, you brought up great points with Indiana Jones, with the archaeology and all that. Like, so there's ways to do this in a smart way. And so we'll see. Hopefully the Imagineers go in those smart directions and they have a really creative way to sort of tie this into Animal Kingdom. That's smart. Go ahead, George.
I actually have another thing. It just hit my head right now while we were discussing this about Moana. But before I do, OG, because it bugs me. This is part of my OCD. You were saying something about the live action Snow White. That's where you left off when you were trying to figure out what you were going for.
Oh, yeah, I don't really remember. I mean, honestly, the live action movies, right? Historically, even when the movies do really well, okay, so we had Jungle Book, which was a huge success. We've had Beauty and the Beast, which was a big success. We've had all these live action movies that have been really, really successful, okay? We've yet to see anything of these movies pan out where they replace the animated movies in the parks. We just haven't.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been time and time again. So I really doubt that the new Snow White movie is actually going to outperform the Beauty and the Beast movie. It's not going to make $1 billion. It's just not going to happen. Okay. So if Beauty and the Beast, the live action version, made $1 billion, and that's not replacing the animated stuff in the parks, like the Red Rose Tavern and things like that, I don't see this one replacing anything. It's certainly not going to replace an attraction. I don't see it happening. I just don't. And that's just my opinion. And you know what? Now that I said that, that's exactly what the hell they're going to do. Watch. They're going to replace it. And I'm looking like an idiot. But that's how I feel, you know?
Yeah. But as I said, that was part of my OCD. See, when we're having a conversation and something gets lost, I will literally sit and run through it until I can remember what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
speaking,
go ahead.
Really quick. So to the Moana thing, really quick.
Yeah.
That the Imagineers were going back and forth because I was thinking back at the concept art, and that concept art was very fleshed out with like detailed compared to the Beyond Big Thunder concept art that Chris Beatty gave us. And for the longest time, they were supposed to do a Moana attraction that was supposed to be behind Jungle Cruise, that was supposed to then face out to the Polynesian Village Hotel to fit in the theme. They 86'd that idea so they can do Tron. So I'm wondering, it's not necessarily that they may not do that attraction. It just may not be for Animal Kingdom.
Okay.
I'm curious to see. Now, of course, that would mean there would be 2 log flume rides at Magic Kingdom when Tiana's opens, but it may not be a log flume. But I think more so they may push a Moana attraction at Magic Kingdom, somewhere in Adventureland.
Okay.
Oh, Adventureland. I mean, if that fits Adventureland, I mean, definitely, you know. And if they can differentiate it enough from Tiana's, like they're both log flume rides, but hey, you know what? At Disneyland we have Pirates and Small World too, and they're both boat rides. So you can do it where there's still the same ride system but different. So we'll see. I'm open to that. I'll have an open mind with that.
I don't think that really matters too much either. I don't like. I mean, even looking at, like you said, Pirates, and you got Pirates, you got Splash Mountain, and you have what was there 4 rides? I think water rides in the park, Disney. About 4.
Not to mention the 85 spinner rides we have.
And even though they're all different themes, no one sits there and be like, "Oh, I'm not going to go on another spinner ride today. I'm going to go jump on Moana. I'm going to go jump on Splash." Well, to be honest,
100%. Yeah, I do want to say real quick before I move on to Alessio's comment. Alia says here, just to be fair, she said Greta Gerwig of Barbie is a co-screenwriter. I wouldn't count Snow White out, but only if she's given all the power in post-production. So that's a fair point. I mean, honestly, Barbie is like a powerhouse. So, she did something right with that one because that movie made $1 billion. So we'll see. Fellow Italiano, Mr. Alessio Pasquale, $9.99. Thank you so much, brother. We do appreciate you, Alessio. It says here, related to Destination D23 and something that was shown there, which Destination D23 attendees were the first U.S. audience there. Are you looking forward to the Once Upon a Studio short Playing with Wish? Yes, absolutely, Alessio. I really love the Disney animation shorts as well as the Pixar shorts. They feel like it's more of it, like more experimental in nature. I think they have a little more freedom because the budgets are like pretty small, I think, for these shorts, but they seem very experimental and very kind of ballsy, you know, and I'm excited to see what they have in store for this particular short. It's supposedly going to be a tribute to the 100 years of Disney animation. And that's what really kind of fired me up for Disney in general in terms of like my passion for this company. It wasn't the theme parks, it was the animation. Growing up around the Renaissance era, that really inspired me to be a Disney fan. So Alessio, I am very excited to see that. I think it'll be very, very, very awesome. Marty, Have you heard of this short? Are you excited for it? Not so much. Love it. Where you stand with it?
No, I don't. I haven't really heard anything about it really until like you guys are talking about right now.
I am very excited and curious about this. They said that there's supposed to be over 400 some Disney characters incorporated into this short, and the main goal is to rally all these characters up together to have a photo opportunity outside of the main animation building on the studio lot. Which I thought was quite genius, because anytime for D23, anytime that we go up there for any kind of event or something, they always they group us together and take a picture outside of the animation building. So the fact that they're incorporating that in the short itself with the Disney characters is, I think, quite genius. And speaking of which, they have confirmed that Genie from Aladdin will be in this short, and they had used unused material of the late great phenomenal Robin Williams, that he is now reprising his role as the Genie, which I think is, I think this is going to tug on a lot of heartstrings at the beginning of Wish to kind of set everything up. And I think that's what Disney 100 is all about. I feel like Disney is starting to kind of find its way back, and that just leaves promise for the future that this company, as it always had done for the past 100 years and for the future 100 years, that, you know, they'll come out on top some way, somehow. They always find a way.
Yeah, no, and we need some positivity right now. There's a lot right now in the world in general, but in Hollywood especially. These studios, not just Disney, these studios are going through a lot, and it sucks because it's the 100th anniversary of this company, and the company is really struggling. So to have at least a little sliver of that positivity, and it's fantastic. What do you think, Candid, or Marty? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't know what you're talking about, OG. We're at $85 a share now, so I'm retiring. I got my cardboard house all set up. I mean, I'm good, bro. I got my tin can. I'm gonna look like Robin Hood, like begging for that money, man.
There you go, Mr. Camper. What do you think, man? Have you heard of this short? This is the first time hearing about it. Are you excited?
I'm rolling with Marty on this one. I haven't heard of it. I do know the kids love the shorts in general. Like, what's the one, Bow? Is that's one of them? Amazing. I catch the shorts when the kids watch them, pretty much. I'm all about that Mickey. I love those new Mickey films, or the little shows that they do. They do like the Halloween episodes and stuff, and they're great. They're funny. They're hilarious. But what George was just telling me, I'm definitely gonna check it out, because that's, like you said, that's genius. It's such a great idea for them to do, and having Robin back on there, that's gonna be money. That's gold.
Yeah, 100%. No, I love how they did that. They dug into the archives and picked up some unused footage. I think that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And our buddy here, Slimer, says, George is one with the universe right now. Feel it, George.
Gotta love Slimer.
Oh, we do, yeah. And he'll be on the show. We got him coming on really, really soon. Okay, so we're going to move on now to Disneyland Forward. So Disneyland expansion moves a step closer to reality. Okay, this is fascinating. We're going to deep dive into this. This is crazy. So Disneyland's long-term plan to expand the Anaheim Resort has made a significant move from concept to reality after the city of Anaheim released a key report on how the proposed expansion would impact the environment. On Thursday, the city of Anaheim released a 17,000-page environmental impact report. Now, we will be going over all 17,000 pages tonight. So buckle up now. I'm just kidding. We will not. We're gonna go in general. For Disney's proposed expansion plan, known as Disneyland Forward, the report states that the expansion would significantly impact air quality, greenhouse gas emissions, and noise, but have minimal impact on transportation and neighborhood aesthetics. Okay, so this is basically. I'm gonna go ahead and give you the map real quick, and we're gonna dive into this because this is absolutely bonkers. So this is kind of like what they released, okay, this map. And as you can see here, so these little red dots here are noise sources. So this is like the road with the cars, yada yada, it makes noise. But they get into like a lot of detail here. I mean, you can see here. I mean, they label things like family ride indoor, thrill ride outdoor, indoor outdoor. I mean, they go through all this detail. Okay, now this is over where the downtown Disney parking is, right next to the hotels, Disneyland Hotel, right there. Okay, this is the current like downtown Disney district. It would empty into this little area. And then on this side, we have more expansion, which we would assume would be, DCA, which again, they get into a lot of detail, outdoor shows. You have here the Pixar Hotel, the family ride indoor, family ride outdoor. So there's a lot of detail here in regards to what they're doing. George, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on what we're looking at here? Like, do you think this is an accurate portrayal of what we're going to actually get? Is this more or less just sort of like the zoning and they're going to come up with something completely different once they get the zoning? Like, where do you stand on this?
I feel like it can go either way. I think this is more so Disney kind of giving us a gist of what they would like to do down the road. Now, mind you, too, folks, that this isn't something that, like, we're getting this whole thing in, like, a 3-4 year range. Now, keep in mind, it took 6 years just for Tron, so this is like that could be within a decade or so, that just eventually Disneyland will just keep on growing and evolving. Now, even though I don't feel like that this is an exact blueprint of what we're getting, I feel like the placement of where things are going to be is more accurate, because as you had mentioned, OG, they are like specific. They're not just showing us just building structures. They're saying this particular building is going to be an indoor ride, even though we may not know what that indoor ride is. That could change at any moment. But I feel like that is exactly where an indoor attraction is going to be. And it's big enough of a show building that it's going to be a thrill ride. This one's smaller, so it'll be indoor, but it'll be a family ride. So I feel like they kind of already know, building structure wise, of where these placements are going to go. Now, what I was trying to decipher is, because a lot of people were talking online when this news erupted, that one can argue, is this now going to be split into two, where an expansion is going to be for Disneyland and an expansion is going to be for DCA? Or is this now potentially for third gate material, because now that they released, which I completely still disagree with, of what they would do with the Toy Story parking lot, but if just to say they decide to turn that into a Disney Springs like shopping plaza, I'm wondering then if it changes from expanding both parks, if this then becomes the third gate, because of where downtown Disney is, within I think it was like a 10-year lease that they're having construction. Isn't that going to run into exactly where the construction is going right now for downtown Disney?
Yeah, I think Marty, I think you brought this up in the DMs, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it's like this is the point of contention. If you can go ahead and let people know what you're referring to.
So if you see, I believe, if I'm looking at it correctly on this map, in the center there's a line that goes from a yellow line that goes from the right to the left straight over to Disneyland Hotel. That's currently downtown Disney, and just below that, in the center of that line, is all the new construction. That's the AMC theater that they just demoed. That's all. That's the future home for Din Tai Fung, which is a very pricey place. I don't think they necessarily, whoever that occupies those buildings, I don't think that they necessarily want to be in an amusement park. They'd rather be in a district where they can get amusement park guests and locals, like just non-Disney people coming in. Usually Disney does these 10 years leases, to my knowledge. Boating, the taco factory or the tortilla factory. Ghirardelli just renewed their 10-year lease. Bodhi made sense because Disney's like, hey, we don't need to be in the sourdough, just make our stuff, and we'll distribute it. Ghirardelli was just fine. It's part of the the culture of San Francisco, so it made sense. I don't know that look how fast they got rid of Rainforest, and it was super popular. I don't know that they want a restaurant in their park, and so if it's coming in the next year or two, I would imagine their 10-year lease. They're laying this thing right on top of it. I'm not saying that the building's going to go away. I just don't think Disney's going to let them keep the building. I mean, they'll use it for something else. They'll put their own restaurant. It'll be the new Tiana or whatever.
So Marty, in your opinion, to the Diz Twitter kind of going back and forth, I still feel like it's going to be split between Disneyland and DCA. Do you see that as what they would want to accomplish, or do you see that as the third gate?
No, I think it's going to be an expansion to both parks, and I also think that and I'm probably going to be wrong on this, but you guys can hit me up 10 years from now. I think that they're going to keep that walk. I want to say they keep that walkway open, and the two expansions would be split. But if they're making Toy Story the new downtown Disney, then just kill it all, man. Like get rid of the Jazz Kitchen. It looks like crap anyways now.
Yeah.
But I just took my family on a $7,000 Disneyland vacation. I want to go bowl? No. Get rid of Splitsville. Make that all land.
Yeah. And I think with this stuff, I think Disney, I think that it looks like a lot of detail, and it is. I mean, they're kind of detailing it out here with the indoor outdoor stuff, family and thrill ride and all that. But I think that I'm sort of in the mindset with this where it's like I'm not taking any of this at like super face value, because like you said, Marty, and excellent observation with the Din Tai Fung, it's not represented here, right? And then even down here, they're still calling it the Paradise Pier Hotel. So I think this is like something that was
that's
drawn up.
Concept.
It's old, and this is probably before a lot of stuff was in motion. I wouldn't necessarily, as a fan, and look, again, I'm an outsider looking in. Despite what everyone on Twitter says, I'm not a shill. I don't have a brunch with Bob Iger. Okay, I'm just outside looking in. I don't think that this is textbook what's going to happen. I think that this is basically like, hey, you know what, Anaheim, this is kind of what we can do if we wanted to do it. Can we get the zoning? We might get something completely different, and we probably will. Go ahead, Marty.
If I could even expand with the Paradise Pier Hotel, I don't think that you are going to have, for the first time on the West Coast, you're going to have a hotel be a part of your park, your land. It's going to be a centerpiece. I don't think that's it. I don't think the refurb that they're doing is it either. I think the refurb is a 10-year placeholder to get that property for 10 more years, and then when all this happens, they're gonna put a castle there that is a hotel. It's gonna look mad, like it's gonna look great. There's no way. I mean, the Grand Californian looks way better than the Pixar hotel, and you're gonna have the Pixar hotel be the centerpiece. This is just lipstick on a pig right now, and in 10 years when this happens, that hotel is going to be replaced with a brand new luxury, like something that's going to blow our mind. Disney's going to put the money to it.
Oh yeah, they'll build it. I agree with you, Marty. 1,000%. They'll bulldoze this thing, and they'll build some hotel that wraps around that entire piece of property as like a berm. It'll be some immersive, crazy. I think that's the route they're going in, and I think this is just a selling thing for the city. And I think fans need to be really careful. Like, you don't want to get too, and we're going to get into it because I think that it's even more of a bait and switch sort of with the Toy Story lot. I think there's even more craziness going on with that one than this. But we'll see. Candid, what do you think? I mean, is this so? Okay, let's start with this. Do you think this is going to be separated into two, so a DCA expansion and a Disneyland expansion, or it will be a third park, like a whole new park? We'll start with that.
So I think the same thing. I think it's going to be two. Is if you look at that strip going through the downtown Disney one, it leads right up to the Disneyland Hotel. You're not going to put the Disneyland Hotel inside of, like, how are you going to get to it? You're going to go all the way around, or you're going to have a ticket to go through. Doesn't make any sense. Personally, bringing up the lot stuff, I think downtown Disney should be obliterated. All that stuff should be moved to the other side anyways, and have that be your walking district kind of thing, where all your shops are and everything like that, but still keep those two separate. That way you can enter in on that side if you want to from the hotel, Disneyland Hotel, and then have those as expansions for your Disneyland and your as your DCA. They both need the expansion space. There's no way you're going to make a third gate. How are you going to set that up ticket wise? It's not like Florida where you're going to travel 10 miles in 40 minutes to the other park. But what I also thought too is, if you do sell that park hopper ticket to somebody and you get to have that third gate go into, it is going to have that value. People are going to want to buy that, because I know damn well if I'm walking by the Esplanade, or what's it called, the Esplanade, empanadas going across to the other side, I'm going to look over to my left or my right and see that giant new fancy stuff over there. I'm going to want to buy that extra ticket for that park. So I don't know. It could be multiple things. It depends how greedy Disney wants to be, but I'm going to go with two splits, and I think that's going to keep that walkway is going to go all the way to Disney. Disneyland Hotel for sure.
Now he did mention greedy, George, so I got to drop the money drop.
You
right?
have to.
I got to drop the money drop, and our buddy Showcase here will appreciate this one.
Everyone silent. Listen to my money talk.
There we go. And our good friend Disney Guy with a $2 donation says here, Jim Hill stated that a fourth gate is in the books. Hey, look, Jim Hill has been in the community for a very, very long time. I remember, I'm an old fart. Okay, I've been in the Disney community since AOL dial-up. I'm not even joking. Okay, and Jim Hill was around those days too. So this guy has been around for a very long time, and if his sources are saying that the end game is a fourth gate, I don't really know. I mean, if they're doing 4 gates, then this would have to be this land over here by the hotels would have to be a third gate, and then the Toy Story had to be a fourth gate. I don't know. I respect Jim Hill. I just don't know if that's a possibility. I'm very bullish on the third gate. I don't know about 4 though. What do you think, Marty?
There's a lot of interesting thing. Like I don't know if you can see. I got some sports stuff up here, Shaq jersey and a bunch of Angel stuff. There's interesting stuff that's going to happen with the Angels. Artie Moreno is going to sell the team, and that's a lot of land. We had the whole he's in all kinds of legal stuff right now, anyways, with money underneath the books, under the table and stuff like that. But and it's not like it's across the street, but it's 2 miles away, and that whole entire Angel Stadium is a massive area that is in play, and it's in play in multiple ways. I've always said it's in play for the city to take it over and create a new convention center. So then what does that do with the current convention center? That makes it Disney available. There's things that they could sit there, Disney does. Everyone's like, oh, well, what are you gonna do? Have a bus or a monorail take you 2 miles away? The city could buy that. They could take that land, create a whole new convention center. Of course, build new hotels. Also, I would imagine the city would love to have more hotels in a different area 2 miles away, and they would still have the current Hyatt and stuff. They could still bus people, the 2 miles. My wife does all kinds of conventions, and they bus her in Palm Springs. They bus her all the time, 2 miles to the convention center and stuff like that. They could still do that. Those hotels would still be convention center hotels, but the convention center could be 2 miles down the road. That's a lot of land for a whole new park.
Which Disney is getting in bed with the Angel Stadium, because next year for the D23 fan convention event, it's not called the Expo
Well, that's
anymore.
Honda Center.
What's
That's
that?
Honda Center.
No, it's the Honda Center, but they are also doing an event on August 4th at the Angel Stadium.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you know who else got in bed with the Angel Stadium is Harry Sadu. A lot of news about him lately, and maybe we'll do a video on that. That's a whole other can of worms. But no, it is interesting too. I actually, this whole Epic Universe thing also, I think is going to maybe impact Disney's decision with what they do here in Anaheim. Because if Epic Universe is a huge success and they see that, okay, people are taking those buses from the current Universal Resort over to this new Epic Universe Resort, it might light a fire under Disney's ass for Anaheim, go, hey, you know what? People are willing to travel. So like, to your point, Marty, like what if they buy the Angel Stadium and they build a park there? You know, and Epic Universal has shown that they're successful with carting people over a few miles from the current resort. Maybe Disney is like, hey, you know what? Let's do that, you know, which is very fascinating.
We're doing a little family staycation. We don't need to stay in these parks or at these hotels because we're a 20-minute drive away. But we are, in 2 weeks, we're going to the Great Wolf Lodge, which is a water park inside of a hotel. And it's literally a half a mile away from Disneyland. I think there's a lot of people that just even do, like, you know, people stay at the parks but you know, they stay at a hotel that's maybe a mile away or something, and that's in between the two locations. So I mean, there's tons of people that stay at the Knott's Berry Farm Hotel who are doing Disneyland vacations because it's, you know, it's a 5-minute drive. And it's you know, $100, and it's a themed hotel, you know. So if you're on a budget, it's something like a lot of parents consider, you know.
Yeah. Well, in this report too, they even stated that they're looking into themed like transportation, whether it be monorail, people mover, skyway. So that might be a possibility. Go ahead, Candid. I'm sorry, brother.
I'll say Garden Walk. What about? I know it's always the big topic of Garden Walk. Like that, those are connection points if you really think of it. All those hotel land and all the land that they owned can all be connection points to where you need to go at the end of the day.
Garden Walk, I actually thought would have been a better fit for like the Disney Springs type of.
Yes,
yeah, exactly.
And it's been on the market. Disney had chances to buy it and didn't, which is mind blowing. But it's also funny that they actually put in their request for what goes on with the city, like when they want to turn Toy Story into possible theme park property. They requested Garden Walk gets turned into theme park property. They don't own Garden Walk. Disney's thinking 2 steps ahead. They're thinking, they're like, hey, we just still want it to be approved for that. Like, we don't own it yet, but I mean, we might if you approve it for that.
And I agree with you with that, Marty, because Disney got burned with that when they purchased the Carousel Inn across the street when they were going to put in that fancy schmancy hotel in the place in the partial of downtown Disney, and it's like, well, they bought that for kind of nothing because that's where the Eastern Gateway was supposed to take place.
Well, and I actually, I saw an interesting theory from a friend of the channel, his name is Jake, but his whole theory was, well, not theory necessarily, but what he's hearing is that Disney tried to buy Garden Walk, and Garden Walk actually declined Disney's offer. Now, this is what he was saying, okay? Now, he's also somebody that's kind of in the loop, though. I can't really say what he does, but, like, he's not, like, just a rando on Twitter. Like, I'll say that much, you know? But he was saying that they did offer to buy it, and Garden Walk declined their offer. They wouldn't sell to Disney. So his whole thing is like, he thinks that this, and this is the Toy Story lot, he thinks Disney's battle plan is to build a competing shopping and dining district in the Toy Story lot to kind of force Garden Walk's hand. Right, to suck the business away and starve them and make them go out of business that way. And then they can buy it, and then they can kind of do the thing. Interesting theory. I don't necessarily know if I buy into that, because I do believe that this 75 acres here, will become a theme park. But we'll see. I thought that was pretty interesting. What do you think about that, George? Go ahead, sir.
No, you're fine. No, I know of Garden Walk, but I don't know too much of like the background logistics of it. How big is Garden Walk? Does anybody know?
It's not that big. I mean, it's like.
Is it less than the 75 acres of what the? Okay, so it's nowhere near.
No, it's not. It's not even in like. I mean, it's like in a kind of like a Tetris shaped, like upside down L shape. You know. Okay. I don't know.
I
Marty,
mean, that's an interesting theory, but if they do that, then that means then what would be the point to then drain Garden Walk if they wanted to have a chance to own it, when they would just be turning it into another dining shopping district that they would already, because they're not going to build something in Toy Story Land and then immediately replace it with another theme park if that was the main goal that they were going for Garden Walk in the first place.
How far is it from? How far is it from this area?
Oh, it's close. It's a connector between the Toy Story lot and the.
Oh, it would be literally like that, right? So they would technically need to be their Tetris piece to connect.
Right.
I would think that. Man, I don't know. If I was game planning this, Garden Walk would be the downtown Disney, the shopping district, and Toy Story would be the park. And you could then now, without any issue, create a line of transportation that went from the park, the Toy Story lot, went through Garden Walk, and which is now your shopping district, and then went right into the park. Like, you don't have to worry about any kind of other stuff. Like, you're literally going straight through your own property to go to the park.
All that money that you're going to be able to have all those people spend.
And I think I mentioned in the group chat, downtown Disney started to fail the second they created security checkpoints to get into it. Mm-hmm. And I get why they did it. We were, things happened, and they wanted to make sure that they had security checkpoints to get onto their property. But nobody is no local non-Disney person was going through a 20-minute metal detector to go watch Rocky or whatever's playing at the AMC. So they killed it, and it's like, oh, we got to pay $20 to dine, but if I get a receipt from my dinner, you're gonna clear me at the end or whatever. It just became a big inconvenience when there's plenty of other outdoor malls surrounding the area, the block, all other stuff. They really need to take that shopping. They want a shopping situation. They want a Disney Springs type thing, or what downtown Disney was intended for. They've got to move it off of their security block and just let people shop. Put Apple stores in there. Do whatever you got to do. People, people go to, but no normie wants to wait in a 20-minute theme park security line.
That's a great point, Marty. And I've never considered that, but you're absolutely right. You got to go through all that drama, the metal detectors, all that stuff. Why would you do that for a mall? I can go to my local mall and I can walk right in. I don't need to deal with all that drama.
It's worth it if I'm going on a roller coaster, but I mean, I'm trying to watch a movie, that's probably not even going to be very good. I don't, they got to cut that off.
Yeah, like I'm trying to.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I'm trying. Oh, sorry, OG. Oh, he's cutting.
No, go ahead.
Are you good? Sorry, brother. You're like cutting in and out. I wasn't sure if you wanted to say something. Oh, okay. Or he just left. Okay. No. So but anyway, yeah, I'm. Like, I can see like where eventually they would have to acquire Garden Walk if they wanted to just kind of like forge everything together. It would be a convenience to them. I just, as far as the route that they would utilize the Toy Story parking lot for like their Disney Springs just to be able to acquire Garden Walk, I don't. it's interesting, but I think in the long run, it really wouldn't make sense because I would just, if they were to be able to acquire Garden Walk, that would be the Disney Springs in a sense, and then they could just keep the Toy Story lot for the third gate.
It's a lot of buildings that you're going to demolish just to make just to make a mall who is failing and who wants to sell anyways. Take that. You're trying to drive the price down on what they want to sell for by building more buildings. That doesn't make sense. Just take that money and pay them.
Exactly. No, that's 100%, Marty. That's 100%. And you're never going to find 75 acres in a perfect little square like this ever again in Anaheim.
You know how much that 7-Eleven is worth on the corner?
Dude,
if they could buy that, like it'd be gangbusters. Like that's so much land right there.
I'm telling you, I'm absolutely. And that's why I think this whole thing here, like people keep saying with this economic impact report and the concept art that Disney released, they have no interest in building a theme park here. We have to keep in mind here that Disney already has the zoning for a theme park. I think Michael Eisner already secured that for a Toy Story lot. So the reason why I think, in my opinion, why I think that they're focusing on the dining and the retail with this is because they probably don't have the zoning for that. They have it for the theme park, but they don't have it for this kind of stuff. So they want to get all their bases covered.
But also too, OG, of how we kind of touched upon it earlier, based on like how everything is worded, like with the Paradise Pier Hotel, this is an older format that they're utilizing now. So it's still utilizing that format that's saying, okay, Toy Story is still going to be a shopping district, but technically that could have changed from when these plans were conceptualized. And
here's where the money shot is right here. Okay, so this is from Mouska Gamer, who is absolutely doing phenomenal, absolutely crushing it on Twitter with all this coverage of Disneyland Forward. But Mouska Gamer says here, Disney is reserving the right to make a third theme park in the Disneyland Resort on the current Toy Story parking lot space. That tells you everything. That's the end game right there, that third theme park. They are reserving the right. They know that's what it's going to be. And they probably don't want to show their hand because it's going to freak out the residents. It's going to freak out the businesses around there. So they don't want to say anything right now. Okay, yeah, it'll just be a Sephora guy. It'll be a Sephora and a Trader Sam's over there. Don't worry about it, local residents. No, I think the end game is this third theme park. And I think they're keeping their cards close to their chest, but I think that's what they're going to do with it eventually. I don't know. We'll see.
Also to Bricky from Hey Bricky, that he was mentioning that Disney may be able to convince the hotels around that 75-acre area, or whether or not, because he even mentioned to the fact of if Disney owned that land. That was something that he wasn't too, or no, I'm sorry, you said it, OG, that you weren't too sure that did Disney already own that land that the hotels were sitting on, and basically they're paying Disney rent for it, or if that plot of land was owned by the company of the hotel.
Yeah, and just to give people at home a little context is what George is talking about. On the Toy Story lot, on the corners, there are some hotels, like a Hilton or a Hyatt or something. I don't know which hotels, but on the corners, there are hotels. So Bricky, another content creator who is awesome, by the way, he was speculating that, what would it cost Disney to pay these hotel owners off to acquire those little corners and to get more land? My suggestion in a video was maybe Disney already owns that land and they're kind of renting it out as the landlord. So these hotel companies are paying Disney, to sit on that property. We'll see. We don't know the answer to that, but that makes all the difference too. If Disney owns those little corners, that expands that Toy Story lot a few acres, even bigger. So it's gonna be very interesting to see what happens with all this. I would be very surprised. Disney's a very smart company. I mean, I get it. They make mistakes. They would be absolutely shitting the bed if they allow 75 acres to be blown in Anaheim on dining and retail.
And they won't go cheap either. They will spend every last dime that they had, like, if go woke, go broke, whatever. If if they are broke, they will use the last penny to develop this land that doesn't become available ever. It's never. This stuff doesn't happen in Southern California. You don't get. That's, like I said. That's 7-Eleven, the candy cane inn. They've been there forever, and Disney can't buy them. Disney has the opportunity to buy this land and get this land. They're not going to cheap out, man. They are not going to cheap out.
We just have to be careful because, as OG said, they would be shitting the bed, but we also have to think Tomorrow is still in play here, and he's king of the laxatives. So it's we have to, that's like Disney. Like, looking at that, they're being handed this on a silver platter. It is like it's for them, and it's like it's right in front of their face. And I just hope that they don't drop the ball on that of how they've been doing with certain decision makings of a certain parks chairman over the past couple years.
Well, I would hope that a lot of this is actually even beyond Daddy Josh and Iger gets involved, because these are some pretty high profile decisions. Yeah,
Iger likes to spend money, so
Absolutely.
Listen, I mean, maybe my son will be paying for it, 20 years from now. But hey, I'll enjoy it now. Get that property. Let's build up.
Go ahead, Candid. What were you gonna say, brother?
So, kind of just thinking about it. It's like I remember having a big old gripe about Star Wars Land and them using that much acreage. Would they really use how much of the 14 acres or 18 acres, whatever, how much it is? Would they really do that, not knowing that they were going to use that other side of that for that expansion? You know what I mean? That whole other area they're gonna have for expansion, and the third gate that they're gonna use for that expansion. You wouldn't just use the only 14, 18 acres, however much it is, for Star Wars Land if you didn't have a plan to move forward. Especially because you're not gonna get that land back.
No, you're not.
I tend to think that even though we like to sit there and say that Gavin Newsom handcuffed Disney, and he did, but in COVID and the way that happened might have been the best thing that ever happened to Disney down here, because the businesses struggled, and we are seeing a total difference in a governor that allowed something to open up and one that kept things down, and seeing the results that happened economically in both spots. And we're now seeing a shift. And Disney's never had Anaheim's loving them. Like they give them all these jobs and bring all this money in, and Anaheim's still like, screw you. Like, and now we got the governor sitting there saying, hey, listen, make this happen. He's coming down. He's pimping Disney Forward. It's like it's a big contrast that's happened, and Disney's never had the support locally with the government the way they do now.
No, they never did. I mean, even back in Michael Eisner's day when they were trying to do Westcott. I mean, I know a lot of that was axed because Disneyland Paris was failed and what have you, but a lot of it too was Anaheim. They didn't want the giant spaceship Earth thing.
Going back to Walt. Walt had a hard time buying property.
Exactly. I mean, this stuff has been a constant struggle, and this is the first time in forever. I can't sing, but you know what I'm saying. Forever that we've actually had Anaheim on our side, and it's. I mean, Disney, you got to make hay of that. You got to definitely do that. So I think it's interesting. Now, Alia brings up a great point here. Alia always brings up great points. So. I just another one here, Alia. She says that maybe the environmental plan reveals who owns the land, where the hotels are around the Toy Story parking lot. That's interesting. I'm gonna have to dive into that and see if that's the case, Alia. You're right. Maybe that is stated in that report. I think that's fascinating.
It's on page 1301, OG.
There it is. Exactly. There we go. And then Disney Guy with the $2 donation. Thank you so much, Disney Guy. We appreciate you, sir. Says here, would Disneyland World work alongside Walt Disney World? Okay, so I think what they're trying to say here is like, could we have a kind of like a mini Disney World over here, and would that be okay with Disney World over there? I think so. I mean, look, you're never gonna. Right. Oh, I see. Maybe you're talking about Westcott. Yeah, I think so. I don't see why not. I think look, Westcott, that whole concept of like this kind of like this world showcase park, dude, the locals would eat that up out here with the drink around the world and all that.
Eat it up. Oh yeah.
It's
I
literally
mean,
everything
dude, it
we
would
love
just be
about
money in the
GTA.
bank.
Yeah. I agree.
Exactly. Exactly. It's literally everything I love about DCA. I mean, it would destroy. I mean, that thing would be so popular. And like, I don't even care. Do all the continents. And if you want to throw your Frozen ride into Europe and you want to throw your Big Hero 6 into Asia, I don't even care. Just build Westcott. Just give us a Westcott. You know, I think it would be absolutely phenomenal. George is laughing because he knows I bring up Westcott every single video.
OG just wants Westcott. That's all. If he can plant his seeds to Disney, it's like he will get it in there because he just. I mean, this guy fell in love with Epcot. So I mean, to have Westcott in his own backyard, like that would be. I mean, just you know, it's like, yep, just another location, just to go and grab some tea.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Some tea.
It's such a locals park too. I mean, how often do you go there just for dinner in general? Like, I wish I had that. You guys so close. But like, dude, I'm going to dinner tonight. Where are you going? You know what? I think I'm gonna go to DCA and grab some tacos or a burrito or something. I don't have that here, but just imagine having a Westcott and being able to go everywhere, just any part of the world that you want to go eat. All my trips and vacations. Like, yeah, I'm going to go to this place, but guess what I'm doing? Now that I know where I'm going, I'm digging into the local scene. Where's the best spot to eat? Where can I go to find that good food? And that's what we do. We're just a bunch of foodies. And I feel like everybody in California are a bunch of foodies, especially all these taco trucks and these, taco trucks, I guess. They're everywhere out here. I think it's a good idea. I think that's smart business.
Yeah, yeah. And out here in California, you're absolutely right, Candid. Like, we are so blessed out here, like with the food, man. Like, because we get a taste of everything, right? Like, I can drive a mile down the road and get Vietnamese, like banh mi. A mile that way, I get Mexican food. A mile that way, I get Indian food. George knows. George has been in my area. We got an Indian place, like, not even 2 blocks from us. Curry Up, remember?
Curry Up. It's like, it was like, I saw, like, it was like, yeah, the Curry Up, and then go down. You have the Asian Bowl restaurant. I forget the actual name of it, but it's like so diverse with the food, and it was like, I mean, you could definitely differentiate East Coast food from West Coast food. Well, also among other things, but
yeah. Well, the Pennsylvania ain't cutting it, huh, George?
No.
Too funny.
Not even close.
Now, do you fellas have any closing thoughts on this whole Disneyland Forward thing? Like, from what you heard with this environmental impact report, anything that you kind of want to like discuss or before we close it out today?
And actually added on to that, if either one of you have your own personal ideas of like what you would like for it to actually go in, like Disney obviously isn't going to release anything anytime soon, but if you had to pitch something to Disney to say, this is what I want in there, what would you put in? What
do you think, Candid? You've been kind of blowing my mind with this blue sky Imagineering, dude. That I'm still thinking about that archaeology thing over there at Indiana Jones Animal Kingdom.
I think all the Disney executives are watching this right now and like, damn, that's a good idea. They're going to totally steal it. I know. We all know the truth. What we would put in there. You know, I'm okay with some of the concept they had already put out. Like, I would love to have a anytime you can throw pirates or Peter Pan into something, that's going to be money for me. I'm okay with that. I don't want to wait 45 minutes right when the park opens just to ride Peter Pan. Give me a whole land so I can go in there and enjoy Peter Pan. Besides that, I'm game with whatever. I want to see more Marvel. Excuse me. I would be okay with just a giant Marvel expansion. Marvel is one of those things where you can play in any park, in any area, any land, because they have something that can tie into it. Kind of like Muppets. So I don't have anything yet. I'll come up with some concepts and I'll throw them at you. But
And see, I actually appreciate that because unlike Disney, you actually like to take the time to sit and ponder your thoughts to come up with something good than just throw something at us and say, yeah, let's just do this. It could be a whole bunch of crap, but let's just do it.
I just don't want to repeat. That's the only thing I don't want. I don't want anything from the East Coast, and I don't. I wouldn't mind getting something from Tokyo. Obviously, we know how we can't get everything from Tokyo. But I mean, dude, Tokyo's just.
I take everything from Tokyo.
Yeah, there's crushing.
Whatever they want to give us, just bring it.
Yeah.
If they're tired of it, I'll take it.
But I just think Marvel's going to be a big thing. I really do. I think we're waiting for those rights to come, and we're going to snatch everything we can. And if you do a third gate, I think that third gate could actually possibly be that. Marvel.
Now, does certain things in Tokyo, because OG and I were talking about this too, that I believe, and I could be wrong, that there was a clause in the OLC contract that they cannot use anything that they use. I think it was between like 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, they get first dibs.
Okay, so if it's 5 to 10 years, do either one of you know, is it the actual like ride itself, like with the theme, or it's everything with it?
I don't think it's the theming. From what I read, I might be wrong, but I think it's the actual ride technology. I think it's like the actual what do they call, like the blueprints for it. So I think you can use the same animation or movie or IP. I just don't think you can use the actual ride vehicles, and that's what like the Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast. Like I doubt we'd be able to get Beauty and the Beast like tomorrow, but I think that would actually be something we would throw in. A Fantasyland expansion. Orange, where is that connection if you were to bring up that map, if you don't mind again?
Oh yeah, no, I got you. Hold on.
And while you get that, because I was wondering, because if it does take about 10 years for all this, for the completion, are they still able to maybe do the construction of it but not open it until like that 10-year mark is?
Interesting. So where would that connect to in it's Critter Country, huh?
Yeah, it looks like right here it would be like, because see that the outline, that is a noise barrier, right? The black line, and it's broken right here. So yeah, you would empty into Disneyland through here, which would be Critter Country.
So no way to do a Fantasyland.
Is that Critter Country, or is that actually Galaxy's Edge?
Oh, you're right. And we can't see it because of the key, but you're right, Marty. It might be Galaxy's Edge.
That might be the shop. Man, my Geo is all turned around, but maybe because they always talked about that shop that over by one of the TIE fighters or whatever, that you could, like, it kind of goes it would go across. Well, that, I guess that was to Toontown. They always talk about that one, but that still looks like that's far enough around that almost it actually almost looks like it's behind Bryce.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think it might be Galaxy's Edge. So yeah, you're right. How could they? It couldn't be a Fantasyland expansion.
That's my other side. Yeah, like, because what do? You can't call it New Fantasyland because you're still walking a mile to get to the other Fantasyland.
Right.
And that's why I think that Star Wars should have been New Fantasyland, and then this second part could have been your Star Wars and your Hollywood studio style stuff that they wanted to do.
Damn, man, have you ever applied for WDI?
I'm telling you, this is good stuff, man. No, you're right. You're right, because you could have. Oh man, you're absolutely correct.
I think that the only problem I see with that is that that was pre-COVID, and that was a whole different government. There's no, like, the city of Anaheim was not going to give Disney Forward in 2019.
Sure. That's a great point, Marty.
It literally took the city losing hundreds of thousands of jobs and everything being shut down before they sat there and were like, wow, we need you. Hotels were shut down for how many months? Like, people, who took care of them and vacuum cleaned them and cleaned them up. Like, there were so many jobs lost, and they were finally like, hey, listen, if this happens again in 3 years, we want to be on a different scale with you. And they embraced Disney, and Disney took that. They're taking advantage of that the way they should.
Yeah, no, 100%. Now Michael Lee brings up an interesting point. Avatar over there. Maybe that's what they're gonna do. Pandora.
Isn't it just me, or did that stop? Like everyone's like Avatar. Then all of a sudden, like a wall just came down. Like, hey, we're not talking about.
Well, here's the problem. It actually never started. It was like they mentioned it at the was it the quarter? It was the quarterly earnings, one of the quarterly earnings, and then it was like, okay, we're going to get news about this for the next quarterly earnings. Nothing. We're going to hear something at the shareholders meeting. Nothing. We're going to hear it at Destination D23. Nothing. It's like, are we getting anything of Avatar? I mean, I'm for sure that they are, but I mean,
I laughed so hard when I looked at the map for Toy Story parking lot that we were just looking at. On the left-hand side, it says theme park experience.
I was going to mention it. Yeah. I was going to mention it, Marty. Yeah, actually, it did say theme park experience. It's like, could that be? Oh my God. God.
There's no way that's it. There's no way that's it.
Yeah.
But
why would they put a theme park? Because they use the term experience.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh God.
I don't know.
It's like a pretty decent sized building too on there.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
OG, if you think you hate that complex in the Toy Story parking lot now, if they add that Avatar experience there on top of it, man, you cause a mutiny.
Avatar's going in where Soren's going. We already know this.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's where it's going. Exactly. Now, Alia here says, "I believe the Imagineers continue to be creative," and I agree with you on that, Ali. Absolutely. It's those with the purse strings that interfere. 100%. Apparently, though, Bruce Vaughn, if he believes in something, can take it to Iger and skip Josh. Yeah, I mean, look, it cost Iger a pretty penny to bring Bruce Vaughn back on board. Bruce Vaughn was not in retirement. He was, from what I understand, he was running companies. He was doing all kinds of stuff. It cost Disney a lot of money to bring him back. And there was a lot of promises, I'm sure, that were made to Bruce in terms of creative freedom, this, that, and the other. Yeah, I think you're right, Ali, on that. I think that he's I'm sure he has a direct line of communication to Iger. So, and Josh, I don't know. I mean, look, I'm an outsider, and like I've never met the guy, but I mean, he doesn't seem ready for prime time, and he hasn't really delivered as parks chief. I would imagine he's wearing thin on Iger's patience, but who knows? I mean, Iger, I don't know. I don't know what it looks like inside. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, George.
I think honestly, with all of this, whether Tomorrow is going to be in control of anything or not, or Vaughn's going to take the helm, so to speak. Yeah. I feel like that, and again, I know I'm probably setting everybody up for this because we've been going through this shit for how many years, but if they are planning to move the bigger presentations of the expo to the Honda Center, that could almost fit 20,000 people, and you're going to put 20,000 of us diehard Disney fans in one place, and you're going to give us the shit that you've been giving us for the past how many years, I cannot foresee that going down well. They're going to have to give us something big if they're going to use a venue that big.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's my hope.
Because you set the expectation when you have a huge stadium like that, and then you have to deliver big. I mean, you have to deliver. Now, Cliffix here says, bring Joe Rohde back. I agree with you, Cliffix. I wish they would.
Joe Rohde should have never been kicked out. I'm sorry. Like, that's just, like, I can't believe like that was even considered a thought.
Yeah, I mean, they got to bring him back, and I know Bruce Vaughn's back now, and I think there's a chance. I mean, look, they brought Bruce back. Hopefully, Bruce can kind of get into Joe's ear and say, "Hey, dude, come back. We're doing Animal Kingdom stuff. You don't want them to I think it was Alia actually who mentioned it as well. You don't want them to mess with your park, right? So come back, be part of that conversation. I would love it. I would.
How much
absolutely
pull do they have though? Like, is that a thing where you go into the room when you have all a million Imagineers and you look at him and say, "Hey, you know what? You're taking helm. Here you go." And you throw it at him, and then he goes and does his own thing. Because my thing, if that's the case, then why let him go? If you know he was going to be capable of something, it had to be more political views of, if anything.
From what I heard, and this could be false, this is what I heard, is that like during the Chapek years, he kind of wanted to get rid of like the celebrity Imagineers. He wanted more of rotating door sort of situation at Imagineering and get rid of the celebrities. And that's part of the reason why he left. And I could be wrong. That's just what I heard. But it's interesting. Now, Roto, first of all, I think Roto, if I'm not mistaken, you're a friend of our friend Wicked Virtue, I believe. So welcome to the channel, Roto. We got to do a collabo one day, Roto. We'll definitely do a video together and talk some parks or Disney or whatever you want to talk about. But Roto here says Iger and non-Walt Disney like-minded people need to go. Disney needs to get back to basics and stop the reimagining junk. Yeah, I mean, the reimagining stuff, I think you mean like the culture stuff. I think that is going to go away. That's just my opinion. I mean, I can't imagine them continuing that. It's bad press, and Disney wants to make money. You never know. But we'll see. Iger, he is going to go. I mean, his contract, I think, he's leaving in 2026. Wall Street and I think Hollywood in general, too, they're getting kind of tired of Bob Iger. And I think that he is I think he's making moves. I think they just need to set up. He needs to get his successor lined up and do it the right way this time. And I think he'll be out. I don't think there's any like plan to have him stay on like 10 years or anything crazy like that. I think they're serious this time to get someone to replace him and kind of move on. What do you think, Marty? You think that Iger, he's on his way out? You think that it's maybe a little more sinister? He's going to try to stick around a little longer. What are your thoughts on that?
I believe, I believe a lot of that article that came out earlier, not 2 weeks ago, not necessarily the exact details, but I do believe when there's smoke, there's fire, and I do believe there's a lot of stuff in that made sense, like why Chapek wasn't a D23, and it wasn't because he was afraid he was going to get booed. CEOs don't do that. So the fact that he was at a party that he didn't want to go to makes a lot more sense to me. Things like that. I think Iger loves that shower, and in that bathroom, and that old Disney soap that they used to sell. They, give you away. At the cruises. He's got to step away eventually. Yeah. but he's holding on for dear life. The dude doesn't like whatever is going on at home. If I'm Iger, I'm like, hey, I'm happy. I've developed something. Let me go retire. And he always kept one foot inside the door the whole time he was gone. He just can't. I hate Chapek. It's not a secret. Everything he did for the parks, they were just horrible for me personally. I know that wasn't on his memo, like in his timeline, like make things great for Marty. But I do believe he was set up to fail. There was no way he could succeed based off of what I believe to be the truth in that article. And Iger has to he has to. This time, if he wants his legacy to be anything, it has to be done right this time, and he has to commit to it. I gotta think that he leaves at his extension time, his newly extended time. He does leave, and he puts somebody in place, and hopefully he vets the people that he plans to put in place to replace him. And God forbid if we do this whole I'm gonna hang around for a year, and like I'm Big Bob and you're Little Josh, or I don't know. I don't see Josh making the step either. I think Iger has some people that he got along, that he worked really well with in the past, and I hope that he brings some of those people back a little bit more to maybe take the reign. It can't go down the way it did this last time, because that was just horrible. And he can't treat it the same way. He has to, man, you got to let your daughter marry somebody. You got to step away at some point and just let them go on a date and do something. They're never going to grow. They're never going to become adults if you're umbrella parenting them the whole time.
Yep.
But the only problem with that, Marty, is if you do let your daughter eventually marry someone, then she wants the check to pay for the wedding.
Right.
Yeah.
Something
I got a boy.
Right, yeah. I think Marty makes a good point, but there's two ways this can go. The legacy is always that word that gets thrown around for everybody, for every CEO. You want to have that legacy. So now looking back at the third gate and looking back at the whole left side of the Disneyland Forward, that's a 10-year, 15-year plan. Does he stay and expand because he wants that legacy, or does he set his next person up to have that legacy, which would be the third gate and the Disney Forward?
I think it's more so to the fact of just getting it approved. I think because that way it is then going to attach all the way back to that core route that he had created. So even if someone were to come in 10, 15 years from now, they have 2 expansions of Disneyland Park and DCA, a third gate, possibly a fourth gate. It's all going to stem down to the decision making of what Iger did.
Yeah. Right. He set it up. He laid the groundwork for it, you know. Yeah. It's absolutely wild.
And I wanted to ask you, Marty, did you have any personal ideas that you wanted to see in Disneyland Forward?
Well, I mean, first of all, I don't think we're getting 14 rides. They put that in there so that they could get 14 rides. They ask for more, just so that you can have it. But so I would love to see, instead of some rides, honestly, I'd love to see some of what we saw at Hong Kong in their artwork recently. Or was it? Yeah, it was Hong Kong, right? With the water. That was just released this last week.
With Frozen?
Yeah, with the Frozen area and stuff like that. Yeah, I'd love to see, some of that. It'd be quiet around the edges, with the water stuff, and it looked beautiful. I think we could use some good looking areas, like that just aren't cluttered up. Just because we get all this new land doesn't mean we need to put a ride in every single corner of every single thing.
I agree.
We can still immerse and theme the park the way it needs to be themed, and I don't care if it's IP. So bring it out, bring the IP. I don't care. Load it up. But
I would even like to see some more shows, like some more entertainment venues for the Disneyland Resort.
They're people leaders.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, people have this thing about IP, and I get it. Like the super fans don't like the IP, but the normies love it. So we're in the IP world now, and IP doesn't always equal bad. One of the greatest rides ever built was the Indiana Jones Adventure. That's an IP, I think if executed well, it's great. The Frozen thing in Hong Kong, I agree with you, Marty. I would love to see something like that brought to Anaheim. I think, and I do believe that's the kind of stuff we're going to get over here. Is stuff like that. Like Pandora, maybe even like that Zootopia thing. I think there are going to be these very IP-driven, very immersive kind of worlds. That seems to be like the thing right now with theme parks. Universal's doing the same kind of stuff. I think we're going to see a lot of that kind of stuff if this thing gets approved in these spaces. So it'll be interesting.
Sorry, OG, I have to correct you. I have to correct you.
Yeah, go ahead.
When this gets approved.
Yeah, when.
And I think it will. I think we have Newsom behind there.
Zero chance it doesn't.
Yeah, it's happening. And you can just feel the energy. The energy is so different than like the Eastern Gateway thing a few years ago. Disney's playing it smart this time. They're much more collaborative and less confrontational. They're working with
the locals helping to pay for it with their taxes approve of it.
There we go. Exactly. I mean, it's just they're approaching it in such a smarter way than they did a few years ago. So yeah, it'll definitely happen. But I want to thank
everyone who is watching and listening. Everything that we talked about today. If you want to see Disneyland Forward happen, you just gotta get out there, be vocal, vote for it, and especially the other one is make great things for Marty. That's the other campaign that gotta go.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, Bob. Make great things for Marty.
Nothing worse than when I go to the park and it sucks for something. And I'm like, come on, man.
I mean, come on, But I want to thank everybody who joined us today. CliffX, Alia Aloha, Alessio Pasquale. Let me see. I know I'm missing people. I'm going to go ahead and go down the list. Kiki and Luca. We love you, Kiki and Luca. Michael Lee. We got Roto Kamish. Miss Magical Mindy, friend of the channel, Showcase of Wishes, Disney Guy, a lot of people, Tones TV. Here, I just want to say real quick, I forgot to say that Tones is so funny. I was trying to explain the shape of Garden Walk. I'm like, yeah, it's like this, it's like a Tetris thing. He's like, a 7? I'm like, yeah, okay, a 7. You make me look stupid, but yes, you're right. And Brandon Wong, everybody who joined us today, Andrew Kellogg, thank you so much. Love Low. And Marty, I'll start with you. First time, and definitely not the last. Marty, we definitely want to have you back, brother. We want you to come back, talk some shop with us again. But if you could let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
I'm on X, Twitter. It's just Marty084. That's
there he is. There he is. So go to X and follow this guy right now. Right now. We will go ahead and wait, and then when you come back, we'll continue. No, follow this guy right now. He's awesome. We love Marty. Come on. And then we got Mr. Maverick George over here, a goose with his glasses. George, thank you so much for coming on, brother. If you could let everybody at home know where they could find you on social media, my friend.
Absolutely. You can find me on X at Disney George. You could also check out the podcast, A Walk with Walt. And, of course, you'll find me here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
Perfect. And then Kitty Corner, diagonal to me, is Mr. Candid Camper. Candid, it is always a pleasure having you on, brother. If you could let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media and your new podcast, sir.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely appreciate everybody here. And, Marty, it was great to finally get on here with you. I always see you in the Twitter stuff. And it's awesome, man. It's awesome. So thank you again. And you guys can find me on X also at the Candid Camper down below. And then on my new home base, my new podcast, Bad Thoughts Podcast, go ahead and follow us on YouTube. We're going to be dropping our first show coming up soon. And like I said, hopefully I get everybody on this podcast here on our podcast.
I'm already there.
We'll be there, dude.
Awesome.
We'll be there for sure. Now, okay, we're doing a little voting here. Now, I know, George, I don't know where you're going to fall on this one. We got to close it out. We got Showcase in the chat. We doing Carl's? Should we do Carl's?
You want to do Carl's?
It's up to you. I'll leave it up to you.
Why not? I'm always good for a burger.
Okay, we'll end it with Carl's. Thank you all so much for watching OG55. We'll be back with another live show very, very soon. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye, everybody.